I'm gonna tell you why it's gonna flow. Then bring my little talk to a close. In 1964, 97% of the black American voters supported Lyndon B. Johnson, Hubert Humphrey, and the Democratic Party. 97%. No one minority group in the history of the world has ever given so much of its uncompromising support to one candidate and one party in the history of the world. No one people, no one group has ever gone all the way to support a party and its candidate as did the people, the black people in America in 1964. Look how many people voted for Goldwater. Over 26 million. Why? When you deduct the non-white people from the total white population, you'll find out that white people were almost evenly divided between Goldwater and Johnson. Yeah. Go get the total number of voters in this country and find out how many of them are white. Deduct the non-white, the Puerto Ricans and the Negroes and the others, and you'll find out that white people didn't support Johnson like they want to brag that they did. The non-whites went for him 97%. And the first act of the Democratic Party, Lyndon B. included, in 1965, when the representatives from the state of Mississippi, who refused to support Johnson, came to Washington, D.C., and the black people of Mississippi sent representatives there to challenge the legality of these people being seated. What did Johnson say? Nothing. What did Humphrey say? Nothing. What did Robert Pretty Boy Kennedy say? Nothing. Nothing. Not one thing. These are the people that black people have supported. This is the party that they have supported. Where were they when the black man needed them last couple days ago in Washington, D.C.? They were where they always are. Twiddling their thumbs someplace in the pool room or in the gallery. So, black people in 1964 will not be controlled by these Uncle Tom. They won't be held. They won't be held on the by overseers. They won't be held in the They won't be held back at all. The frustration dignity in America until the black man has dignity on the mother continent. They're admitting this. They're admitting that the roots of the black man in America are still in Africa. They're admitting this. I was shocked. So public. I was shocked to see that they will say in public what they've always inside. I was shocked. But it shows that they themselves are undertaking a revolutionary approach to the problem. They're beginning to see that the problem of the black man in America no longer is a Negro problem or an American problem. It's a world problem. When they begin to identify our struggle with the struggle of the brothers on the mother continent, then these big six, Uncle Roy, are seeing the necessity of internationalizing the problem. Now, either they have to deny it or confirm it. But I don't think this magazine will say all what it is and quote them too. Here it has Dr. King saying, there is a growing willingness among U.S. Negroes to identify with the Africans. There is a sense of pride as American Negroes see black men in positions of importance in the United Nations, accorded courtesies which American Negroes are not accustomed to receiving in their own country. Dr. King, he was up on the mountain. And they're beginning to see that's the only way the black man in this country will ever get any solution to his problem. It will have to be a solution which the government in Washington has no hand in. Because the government can't solve the problem. The government consists of crackers from Mississippi and Georgia and Alabama and Arkansas and Texas. So they are beginning to see that it is not we who should be taking our problems to Washington, but it is we who should be taking Washington to the United Nations. It is not we who have committed the crime. It is not we who have committed the crime. It is our government that has committed the crime. Our government has failed to protect our lives, to protect our property, to give us proper education. It has failed to even give us the proper facilities for education. It has failed to house us. It has failed, as the men there in the book up in Boston, when they dumped all tea in the sea. Taxation without representation has got to go. So I say in my conclusion, to read from another newspaper, many of you say, well, would we have the right to take the problem of black men in this country? And I say, yes. Here it says, this was in the Post a couple days ago, the Post is a New York paper, represents itself as liberal, which is a misrepresentation. It says, House asked to condemn Soviet treatment of Jews. Representative Helford of Queens urged the House today to condemn what he termed the odious and discriminatory treatment of the Jewish community in the Soviet Union. He drafted resolution for introduction that would condemn Russia for the persecution of Jews and placed the House on record as favoring continued American efforts to obtain through the UN world condemnation and prohibition of anti-Semitism in three forms. Soviet policy, Halpern said in a prepared speech, involves a premeditated effort to stamp out Jewish culture and religion. It is a deliberate policy, but also a secretive one. If this representative voted into office, probably by many people sitting right here, can go to Washington, D.C. and get that house, that governmental body, to stick its nose in what's happening to 3 million people all the way on the other side of the world, and have that government brought into the United Nations and condemned for its abuse of the right Of those 3 million people, I say that the 22 million black people in this country are justified and within our rights to ask our brothers on the African continent to take this government into the United Nations and protect us. The remark that I made, the lady said that she enjoyed herself, but she ceased to feel joyful. I'm paraphrasing, but when I mentioned that the landlords living up on the Grand Concourse, well, they also live other places, besides the Grand Concourse, but many of them live on the Grand Concourse. This is no reflection on anybody on the Grand Concourse, only those who are guilty. Only those who are guilty. I imagine if I said Central Park West, or Central Park East, someone over there probably would have felt bad too. But I couldn't think of all those places, you know. Yes, ma'am. What did you mean? See there, you're touchy. You said it sounded like an anti-Semitic statement. Why did it sound like an anti? Are Jews the only ones who live on the Grand Concourse? I mean, you know, you might have some Italians up there, and some Irish, or something else. But if Jews are the only ones who live up there, then you should investigate and find out why. Now you're going to say I really sound anti-Semitic. No, you let yourself in for it. The gentleman asked me if I believed in political action, number one. And if the leftist groups got together and put me up for mayor, would I run? So I said that I believe in political action, yes, any kind of political action. I believe in action, period. Whatever kind of action is necessary. You hear me say anything is necessary, I mean exactly that. I believe in anything that is necessary to correct unjust conditions, political, economic, social, physical, anything that's necessary. I believe in it. As long as it's intelligently directed, designed to get results. But I don't believe in getting involved in any kind of political action or other kind of action without sitting down and analyzing the possibilities of success or failure. And I don't also believe that groups should refer to themselves as left, right, or middleists. I think that they should just be whatever they are. Don't let people put labels on them. And don't ever put them on yourself. I'm a label.
The third question from the floor was this. Wouldn't you agree that many of the black bourgeoisie also live on the Grand Concourse?
No, this is incorrect. No, this is incorrect. When you say that some of the black bourgeoisie also live on the concourse, which you were saying that to imply that some of our own people also are slum landlords. If you notice, when I made my reference to the concourse, I haven't said anything about any particular color. I mentioned slum lords and whoever lived up there. I included everybody. But see, some of y'all are on the defensive. I mean, it's a dangerous thing, you know, to let yourself get to where every time someone talking, you swear they're talking about you. Not so good. And wherein the bourgeoisie is concerned, and bourgeois maintaining this particular black establishment, here's a book called The Negro Mood. One of the best. There's a chapter in there called The Black Establishment. This book can be gotten, if you can't find it anywhere else. You can get it at the Black National Bookstore up on 7th Avenue between 125th and 126th. Dr. Mishaw, The Negro Mood. There's a chapter here called The Black Establishment. And it tells you how the white power structure downtown controls the black community through the black establishment. And you'll see that it's not the black bourgeoisie that supports the black leaders. It's the white power structure downtown. This is what they mean when they say a responsible Negro get put in power, and they use him to maintain the status quo. And this is, when they refer to him as responsible, that's what they're talking about. And the irresponsible Negro leader is one who's not inside their bag, you know. He's going somewhere else. So don't try to put it back on us. No. We'll accept whatever guilt we have. That is the black community. We'll accept our black bourgeoisie, their mistakes and everything else. We'll accept them all. I don't deny any of it. But when I made my statement was blanket. I could have been talking about Italians, Irish, Polish, everything. So you jumped up. You got sitting on a hot seat. I didn't. Yes, sir.
The next questioner asked, have you found that Africans are aware of and sympathetic to the problems of the Afro-American?
Oh, yes. You'll find that at the end of 1964 and the beginning of 1965 already, the Africans at all levels, the level of the diplomat, governmental level, and student level, have already been very open in their vocal pronouncements concerning their sympathy for our condition and our cause, more so than at any other time. During the month of December, I think the public was able to read where African statesmen openly identified the problem of the Mississippi with the problem of Congo, that it was a racist policy that was being practiced, and they openly identified the United States as an imperialist, racist power. So all of this comes about through communication and better understanding and cooperation in areas of mutual benefit.
Malcolm X was then asked if he would defend his opinions to the House Un-American Activities Commission in Washington if called.
Well, I imagine one of the reasons for I would welcome an opportunity to defend anything you ever hear me say to anyone, anywhere, at any time. I'll go there without being called. The only thing is you don't question me behind closed doors. Keep it public, and I'll take anything you can throw. Just keep it out in public. Frankly, I don't think that there is a committee in Washington, D.C. that can defend itself when it comes to the race problem in this country. You are taken to Washington when they try and connect you with a foreign power. Why, they treat black people in this country like we're foreigners. If we get connected with ourselves, we're supposed to be subversive. No, brother, I never worry about any kind of investigation. I think that our cause is just. And I think that our patience in itself is sufficient up to now to justify showing
this is a dangerous group that we're dealing with now.
And as I said earlier, I think that Lyndon B. Johnson and Hubert Johnson, yeah, that's his name, Hubert Humphrey, well, they're tight, you know. I think that both Johnson and Humphrey